Hello Dojo disciples, and welcome to another Stuff Vinnk sent me. And if you've been here recently, you've seen this box before. So let's recap. Famicom Robot Amiibo, check. Gun sight and Famicom light gun. And something I forgot to show last time, this, for this. Yeah, my drive has unfortunately been on the fritz for a while. And it is the 30th anniversary of this peripheral, so now's probably a good time to talk about that. But not today. What I want to talk about today is this. Super Game Boy 2. What was wrong with the first Super Game Boy, you asked? Well, not a whole heck of a lot. It looks a lot like this. You're probably more familiar with the Super Nintendo looking motif on here. But they work basically the same, and since Game Boy games are cross-compatible between the Japanese and US versions, I can play anything in either of these. The big defining feature, of course, is this. Let's open it up first. What is that? This little cat rodent thing is thanking me for my purchase. It almost feels like a crime to damage this, but I'm pretty sure that this is a security device. Oh, bummer. Oh yeah, look at that. Can't get tape. All right, this is impossible. All right, take two. The big defining feature is this. That is a standard gray cartridge Game Boy Link port. Not to be confused with the one that was on the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy Advance. So let's try that out, shall we? Okay, link cable. Okay, but which game are we gonna play? I mean, there's F1 Race, came with this thing. That's a little too easy. Got a couple of Wave Race cartridges, which I don't even know if that's two-player or not, so Killer Instinct, that could be a good one. Ah, I know. Tetris Attack. Oh yeah, I still have my port cover. No. No, this is a Game Boy Color port. I have this. Unfortunately, it does have both adapters, so. I picked this up at Midwest Gaming Classic, so I gotta use it. Oh, looks just like it, doesn't it? So this is Tetris Attack, otherwise known as Panel de Pon, and was also released as Pokemon Puzzle League on N64, about 2001, one of the last N64 games to come before the GameCube. It was my first exposure to this type of game. Now, interestingly, you see the title screen says Tetris Attack, and it matches the artwork on the cartridge, but you go into one-player mode here, and everything is Yoshi themed. It's kind of weird. There's also the versus mode here, which doesn't currently work because the Game Boy it's linked to is off. Well, I mean, not just Yoshi. There are some other characters here who I mean, are these from like Yoshi's Cookie or something? I don't know what these characters are. Anyway, basic Panel de Pon is that you have to get 3 in a row. You can only switch things left and right, so if I want to lower the stack, I got to switch them off into empty spaces. All right, so I'm going to try and set up a chain reaction here. So these hearts will disappear, and then the triangles will follow. So like a lot of puzzle games like this, you can kind of get into a rhythm. We don't even see the shapes anymore. You just see, blonde, brunette, redhead. God, I'm a dork. You'll notice here the colors are, well, let me just show you here. Right here you see this logo, which means it's a Super Game Boy Enhanced game. So in the Super Game Boy here, that means things like it'll have this border on it, which looks like it's probably custom to this game. And then the colors will be more robust than the typical 4. But we can test it out because I got, a bunch of cartridges here to compare against. The Super Game Boy has several special features to customize and enhance Game Boy games. In addition to some limited controller options for the SNES and Super Famicom, there are a collection of borders built into the Super Game Boy software, as well as 4 pages of predefined 4-color combinations. The pea green of the Game Boy. I really don't like any of these. There, it's more Yoshi colored this way, right? Additionally, Super Game Boy Enhanced games may define custom color schemes and borders, as seen by this spinning smiley face icon. But beyond that, there may be additional features aside from these basics. We'll try Killer Instinct, because it's also Super Game Boy Enhanced. Oh yeah, look at that, right? But you see the colors on this? There's a lot more than 4 going on. until you get to this. I guess they just added that to the title screens. Oh, and then the character screens too. Am I changing? Yeah, I'm changing the color palette by pressing the X button. God, it's horrifying. You can access the Super Game Boy menu with the L and R buttons on the controller. Oh my gosh, yeah, so you can draw your own backgrounds. Oh yeah. Jiggle bunny ears. This is lots of fun. If the 4 pages of color presets aren't to your liking, there's also a mode to select any 4 colors within the capabilities of the SNES hardware, of course. There we go, this Famicom Dojo colors now. Alright, so a game like Spot isn't enhanced at all for Super Game Boy. You just get the Game Boy border by default here. That's pretty nice. Let's go with that one. In this game I don't understand at all. It's kind of like Othello, but not, and I'm terrible at it. Oh yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. Bring yourself up to a world of hurt, buddy. Yeah, so enough of that. Now, Vinnk tells me one of the overriding reasons for the release of the Super Game Boy 2 was specifically for a game that we all know and love, Pokemon. But I only have the 1 copy, so it's not going to do me a whole lot of good. I wonder if my save file still works. Come on, big money, no whammies. Oh, well that's interesting. You'll see that there's a border here even though the cartridge didn't advertise that it was Super Game Boy enhanced. Am I going to muck this up? That looks pretty good. Oh, still good. 109 hours. I think the only other game I played this much was probably Dragon Age Inquisition. You know, at least for 1 playthrough. Why did I call him Bob? Lap dance. Rat trap. This is not a Mew. Was I trying to be cute? And I legit have a Mew. How did I get a Mew? Maybe I traded one with Phil. So anyway, Vinnk tells me that the Super Game Boy 2 was released in no small part thanks to Pokemon, which you just saw there. Came out in 95-96 in Japan, 98 in the US. So this was actually a late cycle release for the Super Famicom, because 96 is when the N64 came out, and we know how that went. Anyway, on to the link cable, because I legit want to use the Game Boy for footage here, but I only have the 1 camera really. So I'm going to video capture the Super Famicom and put the camera on the Game Boy. Super Game Boy is going. Now I turn the Game Boy on. So I don't know if you can hear that, but the sound is out of sync. But if I go on to the Super Game Boy controller here, go to Versus this time. Oh, we're all synced up now. Pretty awesome. So if I change on the U on the Super Game Boy, that changes the rival setting on the regular Game Boy. So vice versa here, set this to the lowest one, pick our levels. Okay, Game Boy will stay Yoshi, and then I'll pick this dog thing on the Super Game Boy. Okay, so if this is anything at all like the N64 version, then I will be dropping horrible bombs onto the alternate player if I do something like so. And it is nothing. Yep, there it goes. Oh, big bump. Okay, well, yep, no time to react. Not too shabby. That's pretty much what I expected. All right, so that is playing 2-player on a Super Game Boy 2 with link cable to a regular Game Boy. And in this particular case, I happen to have a link cable that had the right sizes to go from one Game Boy to the other, so that really helps. Thanks for watching Famicom Dojo. There are a lot of other cool things about the Super Game Boy that we did not cover, but we are leaving for a cohort of ours to go into more detail whenever he has the time. You know who you are.
Famicom Dojo.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Famicom Dojo. To see more of the Summer Dojo 2016, please subscribe to this channel, or watch one of the other videos below, and share the heck out of this everywhere. Oh good, you stuck around. I wanted to show you what happens when you plug in a second controller. for Killer Instinct. Oh, pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is more where that came from.